Married for 10 years. Together for 14. No kids, just a dog with more personality than both of us combined. I'll call her C because cheater feels a little too on the nose this early in the story. Things were fine. Not perfect, not toxic, just your average marriage slowly calcifying into routine. We had a system. She handled the social stuff, which I loathed. I took care of the house and bills, which she conveniently forgot existed until Netflix stopped working. Sex life had its ups and downs like anyone else's, but we still had that spark, at least I thought we did. Apparently, she found a different kind of spark. The kind that comes with hotel room keys and poorly hidden perfume. First red flag? She started working late. A lot. Like, wow, marketing must be in a crisis every Thursday night kind of late. Second red flag? Her phone developed a new attachment to her hand. If I so much as glanced in its direction, she clutched it like I was trying to pry it out of her cold, dead fingers. Now, I'm not a suspicious guy. Trust has always been a default setting for me. Maybe that's naive. Or maybe I was just too busy being the steady, supportive husband while she was out team building in the back seat of someone's leased Audi. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So here's where the foundation starts cracking. One Thursday night classic, I'm doing dishes, scrolling through Spotify, wondering why the hell our couple's playlist now had a bunch of synthy sex tracks that sounded like 50 Shades background music. And I think, that's odd. C usually sticks to indie folk or angry feminist anthems when she's annoyed with me. This was different. She texts around 9:30 p.m., running late. Don't wait up, babe. Babe. She hadn't called me that in months. We were strictly, hey, and you good? People at that point. It was like getting a Christmas card from your landlord. Next morning, she waltzes in at 6:45 a.m. No lie, still in last night's clothes, with raccoon eyes and the scent of hotel lobby bourbon clinging to her. I'm sitting on the couch, coffee in hand, trying not to look like I've been up all night counting ceiling tiles and overthinking. I say, rough night. She gives me this dismissive wave and says, ugh, team drinks turned into karaoke, turned into someone's birthday. Long story. I'm gonna shower. And she disappears. Now, the old me would have bought that. Hook, line, and oblivious. But something in her tone, it wasn't the words, it was how slick and ready they sounded, like she'd practiced. And the way she avoided eye contact? Olympic level. I told myself, don't jump to conclusions. She's stressed. She's tired. You're being paranoid. But deep down, I knew I wasn't. Things were shifting. Her touch was colder. Her laugh wasn't reaching her eyes. And her phone, oh, that damn phone, was like a loaded weapon always pointed away from me. You ever feel the truth brushing against your gut before your brain's ready to accept it? Yeah, that's where I was. Alright, so I didn't set out to snoop. I swear. I'm not that guy. But fate or whatever cosmic force handles betrayal logistics decided to hand me the smoking gun wrapped in a silk bow. It was a Sunday morning. I just come back from walking the dog, coffee in hand, when I noticed her laptop open on the dining table. She was still asleep, probably recovering from another girl's night. Normally, I just closed the laptop, but a notification popped up. iMessage. From someone named T. Now, I don't know a T. She'd never mentioned a coworker or friend by that name. The message read, last night was wild. Still can't believe we did that in the conference room, face with tears of joy fire. I stared at it like it was written in Morse code. My brain did this awkward dance. Do I open it? Do I pretend I didn't see it? Do I suddenly become blind? Curiosity won. I clicked. And there it was, a string of messages that read like the director's cut of a late-night Cinemax flick. No ambiguity. No, maybe they were just joking. Full-blown affair, time-stamped, emoji-enhanced, and riddled with references to sneaking around and keeping it our little secret. She even said, can't believe how easy it is. He has no clue. That he? Yeah, that'd be me. I sat down in the chair. My legs didn't trust me anymore. I read the whole damn thread twice. Screenshotted the worst of it. My hand was shaking, but not from anger. Not yet. It was disbelief. Like I'd just watched the floor vanish beneath me. I didn't wake her up. I just sat there, listening to her softly snore in the other room while my whole reality turned inside out. So she finally rolls out of bed around 10 a.m., yawning like she just returned from a spa retreat. I'm still sitting at the table, probably looking like I just saw a ghost punch me in the soul. She says, hey, you okay? You look weird. I nod. Calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes before a Category 5 emotional hurricane. Yeah, I say. Just had an interesting morning. She pours herself coffee, not suspecting a damn thing. I let her take that first sip, the one she always says is sacred, then I hit her with it. So, whose tea? She freezes. Mid-sip. The mug hovers in front of her mouth like it's shielding her from what's coming. Her eyes dart to the laptop, and I swear, I watched her soul pack its bags and head for the hills. What do you mean? She says, voice cracking just enough to give the whole thing away. I slide the laptop toward her. This tea. Conference room ring a bell. She stares at the screen, and I swear it takes her a full 5 seconds before she blinks. Then she goes into full improv mode. That's not what it looks like. Classic. If I had $1 for every time someone said that in a breakup thread, I could have hired a private investigator and had popcorn delivered to the sting. I said, you're right. It's not what it looks like. It's worse. Because this isn't just physical. You're talking about me like I'm a blind idiot. And that's when she pivoted to the gaslight waltz. I only went out a few times with him. Nothing serious. It was just flirting. We never even, okay, once, but it didn't mean anything. I was drunk. I felt unloved. You've been distant. She threw everything at the wall. My work hours, my emotional availability, the time I forgot our anniversary dinner reservation. All true, sure. But none of it justified the affair. I asked her one question. Why didn't you just talk to me before turning our marriage into a joke? Her eyes welled up. Not with guilt. With the fear of getting caught. I got up. Walked out. Took the dog for another walk just to breathe air that wasn't poisoned with lies. You know that scene in every breakup movie where the guy stares out the window while it rains, looking all stoic and cinematic? Yeah, that's not how it goes. I was in sweatpants 2 sizes too big, sipping warm bourbon at noon, watching conspiracy videos about how pigeons aren't real. Full spiral. The walk with the dog helped briefly. But as soon as I got home, the quiet settled in. And with the quiet came everything else, the rage, the confusion, the heartbreak, the ridiculous mental loop of what the hell did I miss? I wasn't angry she had sex. Not at first. It was the betrayal, man. The disrespect. The way she talked about me like I was some clueless chump while she was out living her secret side quest. That's what gutted me. I kept rereading the messages like I'd find a loophole. Some missed line where she said, just kidding. This is a prank for our podcast. Nope. Just more emojis and euphemisms for bending office furniture. I didn't cry. Not really. I sat there feeling hollow like someone had pulled the pin on a grenade inside me and all that was left was static. I kept telling myself, you're not weak. You're processing. There's a difference. But damn if it didn't feel like the ground was made of jelly and my legs were just along for the ride. That whole day was a write-off. I ignored her texts, let calls go to voicemail. I wasn't ready to talk. I wasn't even sure I wanted to be in the same zip code. She sent a message around 4 p.m., please come home. I want to talk. I was home. I just didn't want to talk. Around 7 p.m. she finally caught me in the kitchen. I was microwaving leftovers and looking like a man who hadn't blinked since noon. She walks in, eyes all puffy, wearing my college hoodie like it was some kind of emotional shield. I just want to say something, she says, voice trembling like she's auditioning for a sad indie film. I don't say a word. Just stare at the spinning plate inside the microwave like it might offer answers. I know I messed up. I know it was wrong. But I need you to know it didn't mean anything. I still love you. I always have. Always, huh? That's rich, coming from someone who had her work husband's zipper memorized. She keeps going. Something about how she was lonely, how I'd been distant, how she didn't know how to ask for more attention without causing a fight. Classic passive-aggressive code for I chose the easy way out. I said, you love me? Cool. What part of you thought love looked like sneaking around behind my back? She flinched. Finally. A crack in the performance. Then came the tears. Real ones, maybe? She dropped to the floor like this was the final act of a soap opera and sobbed into her knees. I didn't want to lose you, she whispered. And I just stood there, arms crossed, wondering what version of love includes gaslighting and conference room hookups. Here's the thing, I didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. I just watched her crumble under the weight of her own choices. And part of me pitied her. She wanted forgiveness on the spot. A reset button. Like this was a sitcom and the audience would clap when we hugged it out. But I was fresh out of applause. Sleep in the guest room, I said. I need time. I walked out, closed the door behind me. And for the first time in our marriage, I didn't feel like I owed her a damn thing. Guest room silence hits different when it's self-inflicted exile. That night, I lay on a mattress we bought during a Black Friday sale, staring at the ceiling fan like it might spin me into an alternate timeline, one where I wasn't married to someone who treated commitment like a group project she could half-ass and still pass. I didn't sleep much. My brain played every version of What Now, like a messed-up Spotify playlist I couldn't turn off. Do I fight for this marriage? Do I throw away a decade because of one colossal betrayal? Is she truly sorry, or just sorry she got caught? I thought about everything we'd built, the vacations, the house, the dog, the dumb inside jokes. How do you sort through the pieces of a life and decide which ones are salvageable and which ones are soaked in gasoline? The hardest part? There were still feelings. That's the part no one tells you about when someone breaks your heart. You don't just flip a switch. You still love them while simultaneously wanting to scream into a void and disappear for a week. She knocked on the door the next morning, asked if I wanted coffee. I said no. She stood outside the door for a bit like she wanted to say more but left without pressing. And I realized something. This was the first time in years that I had real control over my own emotional space. I wasn't ready to forgive, but I also wasn't going to let her dictate the pace of my healing. That day I made a list. 2 columns. Reasons to stay and reasons to leave. Guess which one filled up first? I started with my older brother. Guy's been through 2 divorces, a bankruptcy, and still manages to make sarcasm feel like a love language. I told him the story, every detail. He was quiet for a long beat, then just said, "Damn. She didn't even respect you enough to lie well." That stung more than I expected. Because it was true. Then I called my best friend, Mark, solid dude, college roommate, the guy who once helped me bury a broken fridge in the backyard because we didn't want to rent a truck. He listened, cursed under his breath, then said, "You gonna let her take the wheel again, or are you finally driving this thing yourself?" Everyone kept circling the same point. She didn't just cheat, she dismantled the trust that made this marriage feel safe. And now that it was gone, did I really want to spend the next few years playing detective every time she went out for drinks? The kicker was my mom. I didn't want to tell her, but she's sharper than a tack and twice as nosy. She sat across from me at her kitchen table, sipping tea like she already knew. "You seem tired, honey," she said. "Is it her?" I nodded. After I told her everything, she reached across the table, squeezed my hand, and said, "You were always too loyal for your own good. But loyalty to someone who can't return it? That's not noble. That's tragic." That one hit different. I booked a therapy appointment that afternoon. I wasn't spiraling, I was stabilizing. And I wanted someone objective to help me figure out whether I was holding on to something worth saving or just scared to start over. First session. Therapist's name was Daniel, late 40s, calm voice, the kind of guy who probably drinks herbal tea and reads Stoic philosophy for fun. He asked why I was there. I gave him the highlights. Cheating wife. Lies. Emotional whiplash. A decade of trust imploding over one iMessage thread. He didn't flinch. Just nodded and said, "And what do you want?" That question hit harder than I expected. I sat there, mouth half open, and realized I hadn't thought about what I wanted. I'd been too busy reacting, dodging lies, soaking up betrayal, and trying to make sense of chaos. What did I want? I didn't say, "I want her back." I didn't say, "I want revenge." What came out was, "I want peace." Daniel nodded like he'd heard that one 1,000 times. Probably had. Then he said something that stayed with me. "You don't need to decide right now if you're staying or going. What you do need is to reconnect with your own standards. Your boundaries. You've been orbiting her decisions, her damage. It's time to come back to your center." Boom. Truth bomb. It was like someone had yanked the tangled earbuds out of my mental pocket and laid them out, knot by knot. That session didn't magically fix me, but it shifted the focus. I stopped seeing myself as the guy who got cheated on. I started seeing myself as the guy who deserved better than emotional leftovers. That night, I slept in the guest room again. But I slept a little deeper, because for the first time since it all blew up, I wasn't just surviving. I was starting to rebuild. Next morning, I sat her down at the kitchen table. No yelling, no dramatic music, just me, her, and the sound of boundaries being constructed like scaffolding on a house she helped burn down. She looked nervous. Probably hoped I'd softened after 24 hours and a good sleep. What she didn't realize was, I'd found my footing. And I was done tap dancing around her guilt. "I'm not sure if this marriage survives," I said flat. "But if it's going to have any chance, there's gonna be rules." She nodded fast, too fast. Like a kid caught with a hand in the cookie jar who suddenly discovered religion. I laid them out. Full transparency, phone, laptop, passwords. Not because I wanted to police her every move, but because I needed to know if she was serious about rebuilding trust. Her hesitation lasted about a heartbeat too long. Therapy, together and separate. I'm not dragging a broken person into a shared future if they're not doing the work. No more contact with T. No, we're just coworkers crap. If he sneezes within a 5-mile radius of her, I want to know. I take space when I need it. No guilt trips, no sulking. She doesn't get to rush my healing just because she's uncomfortable. She swallowed hard, eyes darting like she was doing emotional math in her head. Okay, she said. If that's what it takes, I'll do it. I didn't say thank you. That wasn't a favor. That was the bare minimum. She tried to touch my hand and I didn't move. I didn't pull away either. Just let it sit there. Cold. Quiet. Cautious. And for the first time in weeks, I saw her face change. Like she finally understood that sorry wasn't a spell that undoes damage. It's just the opening act. The real show is what comes after. First Monday back at work after the truth bomb. Let me tell you, nothing says emotional whiplash like trying to smile at Janet from HR while you're mentally drafting a divorce contingency plan between emails. People asked how my weekend was. I said quiet. Which wasn't a lie unless you count the mental screaming. The weirdest part? Life outside didn't change. Same morning traffic. Same microwave burritos for lunch. Same boss forwarding emails that could have been slaps in the face. But I had changed. I felt like a guy walking around with a hairline fracture in his chest that nobody could see. On the outside, I was holding it together. Inside? Duct tape and sarcasm. Text from her came around noon. Hope your day's going okay. I love you. 3 weeks ago, that would have made me smile. Yeah? It felt like someone scribbling on the last page of a book they hadn't even finished reading. After work, I didn't go straight home. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes outside a grocery store watching strangers go about their lives, laughing, bickering, pushing carts like nothing in the world had shifted under their feet. That's the mind trip of betrayal. Your world explodes, but everyone else's just keeps turning. When I finally walked in, she greeted me like nothing was broken. Dinner on the stove, music playing, candles lit. Trying to pretend this was normal. I sat down, picked at my plate, and realized I was still in it. Physically, emotionally, logistically. But I didn't know for how long, because normal didn't live here anymore. And pretending was the one thing I couldn't stomach. So a few days later, I'm grabbing lunch at this low-key spot near work. Usual place. Same turkey club, same waitress who calls everyone Han. I'm eating alone, half scrolling through news, half lost in my own head when I hear someone say my name. I look up, it's Lauren. An old friend of mine and, funny enough, one of C's former co-workers. We hadn't talked in over a year, not since she left the company and moved across town. She sits down uninvited like she used to do back in the day, gives me that sharp, observant look women have when they know you're not okay before you even say a word. You look like hell, she says. Straight shooter, always was. I laugh. Been a rough stretch. She raises an eyebrow. See? I pause. Not sure how much to say. But I don't have it in me to fake it anymore. She cheated. Lauren doesn't flinch. Doesn't gasp. Just sighs like she saw this coming 3 seasons ago and the rest of us are catching up. You're not the first, she says. I blink. What? She nods, lowers her voice. I'm not saying she's been serial about it, but I always felt like she kept her options open. Flirted a lot. Got too close with certain people. Some of us even talked about it back then. It hits me like a gut punch wrapped in quiet validation. I ask, why didn't anyone say anything? She shrugs. Wasn't our place. Plus, you always looked so sure of her. Like nothing could shake that. Well, guess what's shaken? Stirred. Blended. That conversation stuck with me. Not because it gave me some big revelation, but because it confirmed something I'd been afraid to admit. This wasn't a one-time oops. This was a pattern. A character flaw wrapped in charm and denial. I realized I'd spent too long protecting an image of her, one she didn't even try to live up to. That night, I lay in bed, not the guest room this time, just my bed. Alone. And I started drafting a list in my head of what life might look like without her in it. After that lunch with Lauren, the fog didn't clear all at once. It just started to lift in patches. Like my brain was slowly cleaning the windshield and I was finally seeing where I'd been driving all this time. Straight toward a cliff. I stopped looking at her as someone I needed to fix things with. Started seeing her for what she was. A partner who made choices. Repeatedly. Choices that disregarded me, disrespected the relationship, and destroyed the foundation we built. One night, she sat across from me on the couch, trying to rekindle something. She put on a movie we used to love, curled up next to me, tried to hold my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't hold back either. You know, I said, I'm tired of pretending we're recovering from a fender bender when what we really had was a head-on collision. She looked at me like I just slapped her with a poetry book. I'm trying though, she said, voice small. I nodded. I know, and maybe you are. But I'm realizing something. You're trying to fix your guilt. I'm the one left trying to fix my life. Those are not the same. And just like that, the room went quiet. The next day, I started looking at apartments. Not because I wanted to run away, but because I finally understood that staying out of fear or habit or some warped sense of duty, that wasn't strength. That was slow death. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was just done. Done waiting for her to grow up. Done playing therapist. Done hoping love would make her loyal. When I told her I was leaving, she froze. Like her brain short-circuited and didn't have a file for, he's actually serious. I wasn't dramatic about it. No ultimatums, no shouting. Just sat her down, looked her in the eye and said, I'm moving out next week. She blinked fast, like maybe if she did it enough times, the moment would disappear. What do you mean, move out? She asked, like the concept had never applied to her before. I mean, I found a place. Lease is signed. Movers come Monday. And just like that, her tears came. Full panic mode. But I thought we were working on this. You said you needed time. I gave you space. I thought you forgave me. I stood there in our living room, surrounded by photos of vacations and birthdays and all the carefully curated evidence of a good marriage. And all I could say was, I didn't say I forgave you. I said I needed space to figure out if I could. And I have. Cue breakdown. She begged. Promised again. Said she'd do anything to fix it. But it was too late. Not out of vengeance. Just clarity. You don't get to torch the house and cry when I won't sleep in the ashes. I said. You had your chances. You chose him. Now I'm choosing me. I packed quietly over the weekend. Took what I needed, left what I didn't. She watched from the kitchen, arms crossed, tears drying up into a dull, blank stare. As I carried the last box to my truck, she said, You'll regret this. I didn't turn around. No, I said. I think for the first time in a long time I won't. It's been 6 months now. I've got a small apartment with a mismatched couch, 2 pans, and a sense of peace I forgot was even possible. The silence here? It's not lonely, it's healing. I don't flinch when my phone buzzes. I don't wonder if I'm being lied to between text messages. I sleep better. I breathe easier. I smile genuinely. She reached out a few times. Sent a letter once. Long, emotional, full of memories and what-ifs. I read it once, folded it up, and put it in a drawer I don't plan to open again. I've been in therapy regularly. I've reconnected with friends I drifted from when I was too busy defending her. I've started lifting again, joined a trivia team, even said yes to a date or two, not because I'm rushing, but because I can. And here's what I've learned, in case you're still reading this and wondering what to take from it. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it usually is. Denial is cozy but expensive. Don't confuse love with loyalty to pain. You can love someone and still walk away when they've stopped honoring you. Healing isn't linear. Some days I still get hit with waves, memories, what-ifs, even old photos. That's okay. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. You are not what someone did to you. Their betrayal doesn't define your worth. Your response to it does. So to anyone out there sitting in the wreckage, trying to figure out if you should stay, leave, scream, cry, or just breathe, you're not alone. You're not weak. And you damn sure deserve better than someone who can't recognize your value until it's walking out the door. I didn't just survive this. I came out of it sharper, stronger, wiser.